process. So I would like to ask you, how would you define success? How would you define success? Because a lot of people want success, but not many people know what it is. So how would you define success?
I never define it in a monetary standpoint. I always define it kind of in a joy and passion level. So if I'm doing what I love and I'm gaining joy from that, the money will follow. And so that's just always been the way that I've looked at success, is that it's not about title, it's not about positioning, it's not about who you're affiliated with. It's always been about, is it about my joy and what inspires me? Am I doing my passion on a daily basis? The money's gonna come. And then also, and I always tell people, but if you have enough, then why do you need what that person or this or that? Because we always want to define success on these things that can be lost, instead of defining it on things that can never be lost, right? Which is your integrity, your honor, right, and your sense of duty and service to others, because somebody helped you,
right?
So that's a key part of how I define it.
Wow, that's really nice. The next thing is that, given your circumstance, you had to overcome environment issues. And I think to a large degree, young people have that same challenge with the environment. How did you rise above your environment? We know about the rubber ball, but how did you add that on to whatever else you did to rise above that environment?
Miss Lane actually, and I explained it during my presentation, that she became that encourager, basically became my mom because my parents were gone. And Miss Lane said to me just recently, actually, she said, you know what I've marveled at about you is that you were never a victim. You were never a victim regardless of what you were dealing with, and you were dealing with some really tough circumstances because of your parents not being there and abandoning you and your brothers. But she said, you never were a victim. You always were this fighting spirit, and you always had this resiliency. And she said, that's what I think has served you well, is that you never felt sorry for yourself. And you always push through, and I did. And my big thing is believing that circumstances don't dictate your destiny.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Circumstances don't dictate your destiny.
They don't.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
You know, anything is possible. There's too many success stories out there, but people can't allow that to be the reason it didn't work. Well, look at where I come from. So. My grandfather would say this, how's your want to? Yeah, you gotta want to be better, you gotta want to be different, you gotta want to be special. Check your want to. If your want to is broke, ain't nothing gonna happen for you, right? And I love when he would say that, because he would ask my friends, and they go, how's your want to today? And they'd look at him, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, Pop up, his want to ain't right. He said, tell him about the want to. I said, you gotta want to be better, you gotta want to be different, you gotta want to be special, you gotta check your want to every day. Because if your want to is in any way broken, you're gonna lose your way. But if your want to is right, you getting up like, okay, I want to, and I want to do, and then you got no. And I think that's what you gotta do.
Sometimes I run into a lot of young people that have these goals and ideas that they want to achieve, but they always run into the aspect of not being taken serious. How does a young person battle that?
You got to be able to tell your story, right? You got to be able to express yourself. You got to become when you gain your authentic voice, right? When you've really done your homework, when you've really prepared yourself, when you're telling people this is why, and I can in many ways reinforce and support what it is because I've done my homework, right? I've done my research. I can talk about it intelligently. I can, I'm not just flapping my gums about it. I'm all about it, right? So don't talk about it, be about it, right? Don't just flap my gums and I went to the library. You got your library card? Mm-hmm. I always say that to people. I say, hey, I want to be, you got your library card? And they go, well, I get your library card. Then you ain't got one. Yeah. And you don't get it. Because you got to have your library card. You got to have your library because your library card is about empowerment, which is about research, which is about knowledge.
Like your E in the dream, education.
And it's at the center